All right, y'all. LeBron James is a Philadelphia 76er. I cannot believe this. As a Sixers fan, we've gone through so much in the 15 years that I've been a fan. He signs 2 years, $4 million a year with a player option. I'm guessing that's if he wants to retire. Um, this is insane. As a Sixers fan, I never thought this was going to be possible. I never thought this was ever going to happen. Uh, but yet here he is in his Sixers uniform, and it looks incredible. Um, I'm really just at a loss for words at this point. Um, I mean, the Sixers obviously are the biggest winners of the offseason. You're pairing LeBron with Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, and Jaylen Brown, who we also acquired this offseason, alongside a plethora of different, depth pieces. This is insane. I've been a Sixers fan my whole life. I'm 18 at the time of recording this, so I really started following it when I was about 7 or 8. I started following basketball, and my whole life, LeBron has been one of the most fun and entertaining players to watch. And as a Sixers fan, I've been through so much in the past decade. Whether that be the Kawhi shot in 2019, the whole process era. Jimmy Butler leaving, signing Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons passing an open shot, getting James Harden, and then having to trade him away because Daryl Morey didn't give him a contract, and getting bounced in the second round every single year. And even 24-25 when our team got so banged up we just didn't even make the playoffs. And then to go into last year and have very similar faith in this team as I did the year prior and have them surprise me by not only just making the playoffs, but also coming back from down 3-1 against Boston as the 7th seed was one of the best times I've ever had as a Sixers fan. And now we're probably the favorites in the East. And I cannot believe it. I cannot believe that this is reality right now, that LeBron James is a Philadelphia 76er. Real quick, I just want to kind of go over, I guess the Sixers team now, how it's constructed and, how it impacts the teams that missed out and the league as a total. So I'll kind of get into that in a moment. But just this is a dream come true as a Sixers fan. I never thought this was ever going to be possible. Yet, here we are, and he's coming to Philly. I cannot believe he's coming to Philly. But I just kind of want to go over the Sixers last season. Their team, how it all played out, and who came in, who got dropped. So Philadelphia last season, coming off of a season where they went 24-58, got the top 3 pick, selected VJ Edgecombe. I went into last year with very similar faith as how the last season ended. I thought that we were going to be just okay at the most, and that we would never make a playoff series. But we ended up doing it, although we lost a lot of steam towards the end of the year due to Embiid going under the knife, as well as Paul George getting suspended. We battled a lot of adversity last season, and we came back to make the playoffs. Obviously, beat Boston down 3-1. Got swept by the Knicks, which I'll kind of go over the Knicks later. But this team last year, as it was constructed, was good, but it was nothing better than that. It was Maxey, VJ, Joel, and Paul George were leading the front, with bench guys like Kelly Oubre, Quentin Grimes, and Andre Drummond kind of picking up the slack off the bench. This team was really good, and as you can probably see, at one point we were definitely struggling for a while there, but we managed to pull through. And this team battled a lot of adversity. And now to swap out Paul George with Jaylen Brown, and not give up VJ Edgecombe, which is insane that we didn't have to give him up in that deal. And then also to get LeBron James on this team, Obviously, with how last season ended, it looked kind of bleak. But he's a 76er, and so is Jaylen Brown, and this team looks so incredibly good. Um, they're probably the favorites in the East. And speaking of the East, I want to kind of go over how the East is going to look next season with this, signing going down. Um, the East in totality, the Sixers are probably the favorites in the East now, but it's a lot closer than I think a lot of people are going to think. It's probably going to come down to Philadelphia, New York, and maybe Detroit in the top of the conference. And I wouldn't be surprised if, the Sixers end up a 2 seed or a 3 seed. But in terms of playoff caliber, I don't think this team can be beat by anyone other than the Knicks, or at least out east. And out west, obviously this affects LA because you lose out on LeBron after having him for almost a full decade. Obviously, that's gonna sting. And Luka and Reeves is a good one too, but it's nothing better than that. So I imagine LA is gonna slip in the standings out west. And I kind of want to go over some of the destinations that LeBron was rumored to and why they didn't work out. So I'm going to start with the main one. I'm going to start with Cleveland. The Cleveland Cavaliers were far and away the favorites for a long time this offseason when it came to signing LeBron, and that was mainly because it was his hometown team. And so what a storybook ending that would be, bringing a championship to your hometown team again and then riding off into the sunset. But unfortunately, I just don't think this team had the talent and the players to facilitate being able to support LeBron. And I think that's kind of what it came down to, is that LeBron he needed a team where he didn't want to be a number 2, number 3 option, and Cleveland could not do that for him. Obviously, you have Donovan Mitchell, who is honestly probably better than every player on the Sixers in their current iteration. And that says a lot about, Donovan Mitchell. But the rest of the team in totality is probably not anywhere better than, Joel Embiid now. Jared Allen, probably not better. James Harden at this point in his career is probably not better, especially with how that playoffs went. Mobley's cool, but, he regressed a lot from the season prior. And their depth is not overly fantastic. And I think that's kind of what it came down to is, one, they didn't have the depth. And 2, James Harden and Darius Garland. That trade, I think, kind of screwed over the Cavs' chance to get him. Apparently, LeBron James really liked Darius Garland, both as a player and a teammate. And trading him for James Harden, who notoriously LeBron has not liked as neither a person or teammate, definitely probably sealed that deal. And although James Harden is a free agent, obviously if they were to sign LeBron, they'd want to bring James Harden back. And so I think that was kind of the leading factor on why it wasn't Cleveland. They just didn't have the team depth, and LeBron didn't necessarily like some of the players on the team enough to want to come to Cleveland. So I think that's what it came down to for Cleveland. Moving around. Next, I want to go to Miami. Miami, I don't think worked out for a very similar reason. Team depth, which is a lot more of an issue in Miami than it is with Cleveland. With Miami, it's pretty much just, you trade most of your team depth, Kasparius, Hero, Khalil Ware, and Jaime Jaquez for Giannis, which makes sense. You probably do that trade 9 times out of 10. But in terms of how it impacts the team depth, it leaves your team depth all the way down to Davion Mitchell and Andrew Wiggins being your 1 and 2 guys that are outside of Bam and Giannis. And I just don't think that's a good recipe to win. I think if LeBron was to play there, he would have had to been the number 2, number 3 option. And I just don't think he wanted to do that at this stage in his career. And with team depth that was sorely lacking around all the edges, Just didn't make any sense. Although I think the reason why people thought he would have went to Miami is because, one, playing with Giannis sounds like a good time, and two, the Miami beaches are really nice. If he wanted to retire there, that would have made all the sense. But that's just not how it turned out for Miami. And the last team I kind of want to go over, well, there's two more teams I want to go over in the sweepstakes. The next team, though, is the Golden State Warriors. It's pretty clear why Golden State was linked to LeBron in the first place. Obviously, playing with Steph Curry, the two best players of a generation linking up would have been huge for both the sport and for jersey sales. So it would have been good for the league. And then he also really likes Draymond Green. Obviously, they're really good friends. And, Jimmy Butler coming back halfway through the year, maybe he'd be something similar to how he was before he tore his ACL. But the team depth just really isn't there. And I think that's why it wasn't Golden State. Pods is not good. Moses Moody is fine. You don't have Kuminga anymore. Trace Jackson-Davis, I think, is somewhere else now. Team's just not good depth-wise, and I think that's kind of what it came down to. Golden State hasn't been good for like 2 seasons now, and I don't think that's necessarily a surprise. And so I think that's why LeBron didn't choose Golden State. And when it comes to the last team I want to talk about, Minnesota, which he was linked to for a little bit there, but they didn't end up making his final 3. And I think the reason why is just because he doesn't want to play in Minnesota. I think it's really just that simple. And he would have honestly been kind of redundant in terms of offensive play style with this team. Obviously, LeBron can do a lot of things, but I think how he wants to play is he wants to pass the ball. He wants to be the primary ball handler. And with LaMelo Ball on that team, with Anthony Edwards on that team, who can kind of facilitate, it just kind of would have made his role redundant, and he would have had to be the number 3 guy on that team. Because, Rudy Gobert is good defensively, not offensively. And so he would have had to pick up a lot of the slack, and I just don't think he wanted to do that, nor did he want to go to Minnesota. So I think that's what it kind of came down to. But as a whole, this kind of impacts the entire power balance out east. Sixers definitely rise up, become one of the leading teams in the East. And, you can't necessarily fault them. New York's going to give them a run for their money, obviously. But Sixers definitely have a chance to upset New York in a series, and I'd really like to see them square off in an Eastern Conference Finals. Even bringing a little bit of success to Philly would be incredible. And I'm frankly very grateful that LeBron signed here. So, with that being said, that's all I kind of have to say. LeBron James is a Philadelphia 76er. There's not much more I can say than that. But yeah, I hope you all take care. I hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon. And hey, Philly, happy LeBron Day. Have a good afternoon, y'all.